Almighty God, we thank you for your presence with us. We thank you for the power of your love. We thank you for the messages that you have given to us. We thank you for the light that you've shined in our path and having watched over us through our entire lives to bring us to this place. And it's our prayer, Lord, that the message of equality that was given to the Gentiles so long ago is a commandment, Lord, that it would be written on the tables of our heart, that we would live it, and that your light would shine through us. We know, Lord, that your light, your love, your truth is rejected by most. But I pray that we have the courage to withstand. As so many movements get brutalized in trying to bring equality to reality, may we not fail. We know that this movement does not fail. May we individually not fail. Walk in righteousness and give glory to you. We ask you for your presence to be with us as we continue to look at a little bit at Revelation 17 to help us to better understand such a complex chapter. Help us to understand it simply, that we could better see the agitation and the transition from the sixth head to the seventh. We cannot do it without you, but with God, all things are possible. We praise you and we thank you and we ask this all in Jesus' name. Amen. So this is, I can't remember, I do have it written down, and I can put the notes in the chat. So I don't think I sent them out. I didn't send an email about yesterday, did I? I apologize. This is from the France School of the Prophets. July 7 was the date on it, 2018. And the title on it is The Shaking. And it continues on or picks up where we kind of left off, just briefly talking about the difference between the beast and the heads. So I thought I'd ask first, does anybody remember what we said was the difference between the beast and the head? And have your Bibles, if you would, because I'll probably need somebody to read a couple of verses as we go through this. Does anybody remember what the difference between a beast and a head is?
A difference between a beast, you said a beast and a
head. I said
and a
head,
head.
right? I hope I said head.
Okay. So a difference between a head and a beast is that a head is a kingdom and a beast is church and state, or church in combination with the kingdom. If that is that right? Or
That's part of it, but not quite the clarity that we're seeing.
Is the beast a kingdom that fights against God?
oh
Correct.
yeah, that's right.
Correct. The beast is the kingdom that fights against God. Okay.
Mhm.
So as we have that as the backdrop, what we were looking at or following along in the classes that they did in 2018, and I said this, I think, on Wednesday, but good for us to remember, is that these old studies, Elder Parmenter has pointed us back to old studies, not, maybe certain ones, but I particularly went in to look at more at the third angel, and this is kind of where I wound up, and this one's talking about the first and second angel. So thus far, so these particular classes, he's going through, Elder Parmenter is going through early writings, and particularly the chapters on that cover Millerite history to lead us up to also then the third angel. So early writings chapters, I don't have chapter numbers, but William Miller, this is out of the spiritual gifts section. William Miller, First Angel's Message, Second Angel's Message, Advent Movement Illustrated, and then another illustration. And I did erase some of my stuff because I needed a bigger spot on the board. Let me put this up. Can see that now better, right? I think the whole thing's there. Yeah, the whole thing's there. I erased some of what was here from last week and just put it up here, what Donna just said, and Victoria in a little bit different way, just to make it more clear though, that it's the kingdom that fights against God. So these are the chapters that we're looking at. And last week we looked at another illustration. So does anybody remember when we read that passage in another illustration, who that angel was in that first paragraph? We don't have that opened up. I can open it up if we need to.
Elaine Troy has a question in the chat.
I didn't see it. Where is it? I don't see it in there. So if you want to,
Oh, sorry, it's Christine. She's asking if
thank you.
if the kingdom is, wait, let me go back to her
I
question.
got it. Both head and beast is a kingdom, but beast is a kingdom that fights against God. Correct. We'll see it a little bit more clearly as we walk through this. So the beast is a kingdom, and I'll put it the word that he used, if I can remember the word he used. But it has to be qualified. I think that's the word that he used. So a beast is a kingdom, but there's more to it. So you can't just say that a beast is a kingdom. So hopefully by the time we walk through all of this, it'll be clear to all of us that you can't just say that a beast is a kingdom. If that makes sense. So we'll walk through it a little bit more. So in another illustration, does anybody remember the first chapter? What angel that is? If you need me to pull it back up again, I can.
Please.
Okay, give me just a
Thank
second.
you.
You're welcome. I should have been ready with that. I apologize. Because I don't have it in my notes either to read it, but it's better. I know for maybe a lot of you are like me, it's easier when I see it on the screen. Okay, so this is the first chapter that we were in. And let me see it. Susan says, is the head the mouthpiece of the kingdom's one mind that will fight against God? I don't know, Susan, that you can, what I do know, and I don't have these passages in front of me, trying to think of where it says this, but that a king and a kingdom are synonymous. I'm pretty sure it's in Daniel 2 as well, but there's another Isaiah. I think it's Isaiah 7 that I'm thinking of, when the head of Damascus is, maybe somebody remembers that. So, so a king and a kingdom could be synonymous. The king is the kingdom. So this was what we were looking at last week. In another illustration, this is the fifth chapter that he's singling out in these studies as the Millerite history. And so we looked at, I was shown the interest which all heaven had taken in the work going on upon the earth. Jesus commissioned a mighty angel to descend and warn the inhabitants of the earth to prepare for his second appearing. And skip down, let's see. I was told that his mission was to lighten the earth with his glory and warn man of the coming wrath of God. So what angel did we come to see this to be after more carefully reading? What angel is that?
First angel.
Got two answers for the first. Anybody else? So prayerfully, there's three of you that have said first, and and there's four of you now that said first, that we all remember that we saw that this was the first angel. And when we scrolled down, what was it in here that gave us, in this particular paragraph, that told us this isn't the second angel, because it's generally taken automatically or quickly. The fast brain goes and says that this is what angel? What does our fast brain tell us this angel is? Susan's got the answer I'm headed for. The wrath of the judgment. But we generally thought this passage meant what angel?
Second angel.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Second?
Yeah, the second. Yeah.
Yeah, I was second.
Yeah, the second angel. So we would generally look at it with our fast brain and say, this is the second angel because you have a mighty angel that comes and that this angel is going to lighten the earth with his glory. But we left off the part that Susan pointed out, that there's a warning in this message. And which angel gives the warning? The first, right? And so then we came to this this passage. I think it's no, I think it's 247. Yeah, 247 right here. Another mighty angel. As you scroll through, as you read through the chapter, and these are good chapters to help us put things in place. It's good reading to go back to, and they're short chapters to read on your own time to help put these things better in place. So this next passage, 247.1, another mighty angel was commissioned to descend to earth. Jesus placed in his hand a writing, and as he came to the earth, he cried, "Babylon is fallen, is fallen." So that told us right away that the other angel could not have been the second, because this passage is telling us the second follows, and the second would come, we all know how to count, would come after the first. Then I saw the disappointed ones again raise their eyes to heaven, looking with faith and hope for their Lord's appearing. But many seemed to remain in the stupid state, as if asleep. Yet I could see the trace of deep sorrow upon their countenances. The disappointed ones saw from the scriptures that they were in the tarrying time, and that they must patiently wait for the fulfillment of the vision. The same evidence which led them to look for their Lord in 1843 led them to expect him in 1844. And it talks a little bit more about the disappointment and such. So there's a disappointment, and then the second angel comes, and they don't have the same energy to go through. They don't have the same energy that they had when the first message came. And that we saw that we were able to see that this was all covering Millerite history. You have these first three chapters, and these two chapters are just repeating what these first three chapters say. So we saw that all this is covering Millerite history, but because of the thinking that was Revelation 18, we wanted to go about proving that a little bit more about why that is not Revelation 18. Does anybody remember what we read in Revelation 18 that told us, gave us a little bit more to help us to understand it's not Millerite history?
Nations,
All nations, 18.
all nations, yeah.
Right, so Revelation 18:3 says that this is all nations have drank the wine of Babylon. So we saw there was all nations, and what did we see about Millerite history?
United States.
It's the United States, it's one nation, right? Okay, so where did we go from there to work that out even more? The all nations versus one nation. Anybody remember where we went in the Bible? To demonstrate that another evidence to demonstrate more thoroughly that Revelation 18 is all nations. How did we see that? Think about the topic we're talking about. What we were talking about before we looked at another illustration. What are we looking at?
It's not Revelation 17, is it?
Yes, 17. Why?
We're looking at church and state powers, or
More specific to the symbology that's in Revelation 17.
um, is that kingdoms or not? Kingdoms? Kingdoms? Yeah,
Kingdoms and beasts.
yeah.
So if somebody wants to read, I want to line it up. Somebody find Revelation 12. I don't remember what verse it is, 9 or 10. Somebody find oh no, I think it's like 2 or 3. Somebody find Revelation 2 or 3. Somebody find Revelation 13, 1 or 2. Sorry, I don't have them written down. 13 is, I think, verse 2, so that we're ready to read them and then walk through them. Okay, so 1 is 13, 1. 12, 3. And then we're going to go to 17. So somebody read 12, 3.
I've got it open.
Okay.
So Revelation 12:3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads.
7 heads. 10 horns, right?
Yes,
And then 10 crowns?
7.
Oh, 7. Thank you.
That was Revelation 12.
Okay, so this is 12, 3. And what's 13, 1?
I can read 13. Of the sea.
Yeah.
And saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads, 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of the blasphemy.
Okay. And then Revelation 17, 1, I think it is.
I'll read that.
Okay.
Then one of the, excuse me, then one of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls came and talked with me, saying to me, "Come, I will show you the judgment of the great harlot who sits on many waters."
What's verse 2? I might have said the wrong verse. What's verse 2?
Okay. With whom the kings of the earth committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication.
I forget so fast. Must be verse 3.
It's all right.
But that's okay. We're getting more out of it.
Yeah, exactly. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast, which was full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. There it is.
And this is the scarlet. Right? Okay.
Right. Scarlet beast.
This was 3?
Yes.
Okay. So 12, 3. You have 7 heads, 10 horns, 7 crowns. And 13, 1, you have 7 heads, 10 horns, 10 crowns. And 17, 3, she's scarlet, or the beast is scarlet, right? The beast is scarlet. Not the woman, right?
The beast is scarlet.
The beast is scarlet and 7 heads and 10 horns. What's missing?
Crowns.
Crowns.
Crowns, yeah.
Okay, so there's no crowns on that one. So we see the kings have committed fornication with who? The woman, right? The kings commit fornication with the woman. You saw that in 17. And that John is going to be shown the judgment of the woman, right? Make sure I have it right too. Verse 1. I will show you the judgment of the great whore. Yeah, the woman that sits on the beast on the beast is John's going to see the judgment of that of that woman. Okay, and I think then, I don't know if we can jump quite that fast here. So we can see there's a distinction between a beast, and then I'm not just talking about the kingdom, but a beast and a woman. Which I think, as Victoria was talking, was church and state, right?
Yes.
Church and state. So we see there's a beast and then there's a woman. We want to trace the head and the beast to try to sort that out. So Revelation 12 tells us who that is, if I remember right. When it says that it's Satan, where's that verse at? I'm in 13 still. Revelation 12. When it says it's that old serpent, the devil, right? So we get the verse 9. That great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. So
I have a question real quick.
yeah,
That's a little confusing for me. And I just want clarity. Is a dragon a beast? Or is a dragon not a beast? I mean, its own entity.
yeah, if you go back to 12:3.
Okay, 12:3.
Oh, it doesn't say beast. It doesn't say beast. You have to put them all together to understand that. Because the symbology is similar, other than there's things that are not the same, if that made sense, when it comes to the crowns missing. So the dragon, I beheld a great red dragon, having 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay, so they're all this. So then when you go to 13, and I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns. So you can bring the verses together and see
Yeah.
that great red dragon. So what would that represent? That red dragon, that beast, what does it represent? I don't know if we can get there yet, unless
Well,
anybody.
it says that verse when you said rising up, I believe that's the United I think, well, I have to look at the context of that chapter. What chapter is that? Is that
It's 12,
Revelation
13, and
13?
17, 13:1. Yeah,
Okay, so we know that's the United States.
that's
'Cause
right.
Yeah, that's rising.
Let's see. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads, 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns. And we'll kind of walk through that to get to the United States, if that helps. Because I still have my own little confusion on that part, because we'll get to that part when we talk about the thief as we get through there. Okay, so we kind of walked through this last week, but we'll walk through it again. The descriptions in the verses in 17, we just wanted to take these to see the differences of them, and now we want to look at these 7 heads. In that verse that we read, if anybody remembers Lamentations that we read last week, does anybody remember that? I think it's 2:17. 2:17, Lamentations 2:17. The Lord hath done, this is after Zedekiah is taken captive, the final siege of Jerusalem. Jerusalem is destroyed, which we know Zedekiah marks the Sunday law. Lamentations 2:17, the Lord hath done that which he hath devised. God has fulfilled their word that have thrown down, that God had commanded, in the days of old. God hath thrown down and hath not pitied, and hath caused thine enemy to rejoice over thee. God hath set up the horn of thine adversaries. So we were looking at that in the context of being Zedekiah, after Zedekiah and the destruction of Jerusalem. You now have that horn or those kingdoms being set up, the kingdoms of Bible prophecy. Does that make sense?
Could you repeat that?
The passage,
No, what you
Right
just
there.
said when you said, does that make sense?
oh, that when Zedekiah is taken, if we remember, and we might review this not today, but another time, that the kingdom of Manasseh is the one that starts that whole process of what we understand in our application of the 2520. Manasseh starts that process. Zedekiah, it's that progressive destruction that leads to the final destruction at Zedekiah. And at Zedekiah, what do we call that time period with Zedekiah going forward? What happened to God's people?
They went into
Babylon.
captivity.
Taken into captivity, right? And they were, I don't think I had it on here. They began to be taken into captivity sort of progressively before the final destruction. So that's the actual history. That we won't go into any detail in that in application at all, but that's the actual history. They were taken in stages, because we know that Daniel was taken under Jehoiakim, I believe, and then Ezekiel was taken under Jehoiachin. And then you have Zedekiah in that final siege, and the destruction of Jerusalem. Okay, so then you have, when you go to Revelation 12:3, and you see this beast, or you see the red dragon that has 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns. Revelation 13, you have the beast that has 7 heads, 10 horns, and 10 crowns. And then you have Revelation 17:3, the scarlet beast, and has 7 heads, 10 horns, but there's no crowns. So we want to look at this to better understand how Revelation 18 cannot be Millerite history. And to prove that Revelation 18:3 tells us that it's all nations, and Millerite history is one nation. So we've looked at the kingdoms of Bible prophecy, and I kind of put this up here for us. So the beast, if you had to think about what the beast represents, we already kind of said it, but to think about it in political terms, what does a beast represent? Does it represent a church? Kingdom. A kingdom is what? How does a kingdom operate?
Do you mean like a political power?
Right. Or government, right?
Yeah.
The government. Somebody asked, I think earlier in the chat, are there kingdoms that are not fighting against God? Did somebody ask that?
No, Manuel asked if there was a head that didn't fight against God.
That's what we're going to look at. That's what we're going to look at. So there are kingdoms that don't fight against God. They're just kingdoms that are out there and what have you. But these kingdoms that Daniel starts to give us, and then it's continued in Revelation, these kingdoms are the kingdoms that involve the working with God's interaction with God's people. So you had the 7 kingdoms, and I have it there, but we want to label them here to put a few more details on it. So a beast is a political power or government, and it's a kingdom that fights against God. So this beast is political power, okay? But in particular, these kingdoms that fight against God. So let's label them 1 to 7. Who do we have? And I'm not able to follow.
Babylon,
You have Babylon,
Medo-Persia,
Medo-Persia,
Greece,
Greece.
and Rome.
Okay, we're gonna put pagan Rome.
And then we have papal. Do we have papal?
Arabian
Is
kings.
papal Rome a kingdom?
Mm,
Go from Rome to Europe?
yeah,
European kings.
Europe,
European kings, yeah.
the European kings. Okay, which I thought, I've been thinking about it a lot, that it's a union of a bunch of kings, right?
Right.
Okay. Okay, so then where do we have here? Number 6.
Uh, US.
You have the US. And then what did we say this was?
United Nations.
United Nations, right? Okay. So we had, let's see,
Now, the last time we did this, you just put Rome. You didn't specifically put pagan Rome.
well, we can do that.
But what I'm wondering, because we know it was pagan Rome that crucified Christ,
Yeah, yeah.
but what about, like Jackie was mentioning, what about papal Rome? Does that go with the European kings?
We'll try, hopefully try to get through to that to understand it better.
Okay, because
Hopefully.
that does kind of leave me with some questions.
So you're still questioning, is this papal Rome or Europe? Is that right?
Well, I get why it's Europe, but I guess I want to see papal Rome's place in that and how we're listing it. So by putting Rome, it includes both pagan and papal, but
Can you-
maybe not. Maybe it shouldn't be that way because of Europe, but I'll let you continue. That's just,
So Revelations,
I'm the only one that's thinking that way.
Revelation 17:1. Read Revelation 17:1 again.
Oh, let me go back to it. I don't have it open.
I can read it.
You got it there?
Yeah, is that okay, Susan?
Yeah. Go ahead,
Okay.
Jackie.
Yeah. Then one of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls came and talked with me, saying to me, "Come, I will show you the judgment of the great harlot who sits on many waters."
Many waters. Where's the one that says she sits on the beach?
Oh, there is another one from 17,
Yeah,
a verse that I wrote down, and it's verse 10.
verse 10. Okay.
Yeah,
What,
Oh, that's not the one.
what
Look at
That's
Bible
not-
are you reading
where does
from?
it say she rides the beast?
let's see.
It says verse 5.
Verse 5. Thank you.
5, yeah.
I just
Yeah, that's it.
mother of harlots. That doesn't say she rides the beast.
3.
Yeah, there you go. I saw a woman upon the scarlet colored beast. Thank you. The same one that I had trouble with last time. So there's a woman that sits on a scarlet, sitting on a scarlet colored beast. Okay. What's a woman? A church. Okay, so a woman is a church. Who is that woman?
Oh,
The
that's
woman riding the
papal
beast.
Rome. That's
Jezebel?
Well, no, in this story here. Jezebel's there too. Yeah, Catholic Church.
The
So that woman-
papacy, yeah, papacy.
So the papacy is the woman. And the woman is riding the beast. So can the woman be the beast?
no.
No. The beast has to be something else. So we've already understood that the beast, or that the beast represents political powers or governments, in particular a kingdom that fights against God. So you have, the beast is governments. And
Get it.
and the woman is a church. You get it?
I get it. Yep. I see it now. And it
So-
clicked.
So you'll be forever that it'll be the kings of Europe here. Because I know that's always troubled. That's troubled me for a long time.
So would the beast be Rome?
You could say the beast was Rome. Yes.
Well, you
Because
have
it's a
Rome,
government,
you have
a
Rome here.
political. government, right?
Right,
Yeah.
it's like a representation of Rome where it initially started.
That would be number 4, and that's what we have here.
But it doesn't have the church controlling it yet, like papal, right? And
Right.
we're learning that even though I always thought papal Rome sort of had a government of its own, because it does operate, but it's a theocratical government, right? Not like a political government. Well, it is. I don't know how to word that, but it doesn't have the power of like our government or Rome's government had. The same as the Jewish government didn't
Yeah,
have
it's
the
not
power.
a,
They needed the Roman government.
yeah, it's not a political power.
It is, and I mean,
Well,
you
it
know what
is
I
and it
mean, how
isn't.
it works, but
Right.
yeah, and that always caused me problem. Now I get it. It's clicking. Thank you.
So the 5th head, I should put that better, so we understand that. The 5th head, does the equals Europe, the 10 kings of Europe. The 5th head is the kings of Europe.
It's Europe that offers their sword to the papal power.
Right. So the 5th head here, the kings of Europe, because we see that the woman is actually riding the beast, which means the woman is riding the government, and the government at the time is the kings of Europe. Which,
Elaine,
how many of those kings, we just said it numerous times, how many of those kings are there?
There's 10.
There's 10 of them, right? And they also have, let's see here, we have 12-3 has 7 heads, 10 horns, 7 crowns. So the 7 crowns, who has these crowns? Crown makes them what? If they have a crown, it makes them what?
imperial, like a king,
A king, right? So if there's 7,
but it's something special
that makes them
that achieves the crown.
the head with a crown. So it's a kingdom, right? So you have, and there's 7 crowns, right? I hope I do this well or right. And everybody needs to keep their eye out in case I make a misstep. So you have all these crowns, right? So they're all kings. Do we follow that? All 7 of them are kingdoms. Do we see that?
Yes.
With crowns. And these 10 also have crowns. Correct? These 10 have crowns. And that's Revelation 13, and we know we're talking about the first beast, and when we're talking about the first beast, I put it in the wrong one. Say you're not watching me already. 10. Okay,
Okay, question?
yeah,
Oh,
Go ahead,
the
Jessica.
10 have crowns. Is that Europe?
how many kings were there?
Is that the fifth king?
Yeah, how many kings were there in all that history that were, that the papacy controlled? We could test our memories and see if anybody can name them.
I know.
I know, I could name some of them, but I'd probably forget some.
Yeah, exactly. And where is that in Revelation? On that power from Europe? I mean, where does it break it down to say how many kings there were? You said 10 just now.
Revelation 13:1 tells us there's 10, that we have the 7 heads all across, right?
Mm-hmm.
The 10 horns that are listed all across. And we have 7 crowns here. So these are 7 kingdoms. They have their crowns. These are 7 kingdoms. They would have their crowns as well, but this one is different. We see there's a difference here because the crowns are on the horn rather than the heads.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the crowns that are on the horns. So this head, maybe we need to read that verse again. Revelation 13. I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy. This beast has the name of blasphemy. It's not the woman that has the name of blasphemy, it's the beast in that passage that has the name of blasphemy. So you have these 10 crowns in this history. We know that this is 13 talks about 2 beasts, right? Which beast is 13:1? What history is 13:1?
Is that the US?
Chapter 13, you have 2 beasts.
Yeah.
European kings.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
would like to say something, Elaine, if it's okay.
Sure.
So we are saying, and this is Adventism and all Protestant education, that the woman is riding the beast, which is not correct. Because if you go to eastward, and when it says that the woman is sitting on the beast, that means that she resides. That's where her residence is, in that territory. So if the beast is Europe, the woman lives in Europe. That the fact that the woman is sitting on the beast, it should not take us to the image of a horse and the rider of the horse. She's not holding the reins. She's not leading. We should also make connection with Daniel 7, where we have the beast that has 10 horns, and then there's 3 horns that have to fall before the papacy to come out. So the papacy is not the church. The Pope is a king. So it is the Pope leading the church and not the church leading the Pope. It is the king leading the woman, not the woman leading the church. But this is the patriarchal view and fear that the woman is going to lead. And that's why God has to intervene. This is why Elder Parminder, and I think Elder Tess also said that the Sunday law doesn't look the way we expected it to be, because we don't see the woman rising to power. We don't see the papacy rising to power. So these are, certain things that are important, like to get away from the preconceived ideas.
Does anybody want to comment on that?
I just want to say that I appreciate what Christina's trying to get us to see, but I think I need more explanation to understand it more clearer. But I think I see what she's trying to explain to us. But yeah, it's
Because see how Revelation 17 says that the kings committed fornication with her. So this take you to the image of being sexually abused. So one thing in my head is that the Pope, being one of the kings, he is using the church for his power. I mean,
Are you saying that the Catholic Church, the Pope, is not the woman?
the Pope is not the woman. It is a combination of king and church there, where the king is using the woman.
Who's the woman?
The church, the people,
But the Pope's not the woman.
no, he's one of the kings. Daniel
In the
7.
In the European kingdoms, the European kings are not those 10 horns then.
Well, the European kings, if we remember, the Vandals, those are the kings of Europe, isn't it? When 538 and before 538, we had those 10 kings. And there were 3 kings that fell before the Pope.
Sarah has a question. If the Pope is not the head of the Catholic Church, then how do we separate and make the Pope the king?
Well, I don't know. I didn't look that well. I'm just saying because I looked at eastward, and sitting means to reside. It doesn't mean to lead, to hold the reins. But this woman sitting on the beast and the kings, it's all state and church, not church and state.
But Christina, isn't because we remember that they need what was it? The 3 things. And the seat is one of them. And the seat means it's like the throne, right? Like we want Christ to sit on the throne of our heart, right? It's the throne. So if she's seated, isn't that the throne? Wouldn't that give the papacy the throne?
I don't know. It's
I'm not trying to argue with you or anything. I'm just trying to reason it out
I don't
and hear what
remember
you're
that
saying, too.
sitting. Yeah, it's just I am trying to understand too, because if you look at the meaning of the beast, as we said, Revelation 13, the red dragon, and then you have the woman being the church. In my head, I am asking, when did the church lead Satan? How can the church lead Satan? Which one is leading who?
Let's walk through this and see if some of those questions don't get answered a little bit better
Okay,
as we continue through it, because I think some of the answers will come up as we go through it step by step. So for now, can we?
Elaine,
Yeah.
go ahead. Just to interject with what you just said. So I'm trying to understand if the papal power is part of that kingdom in Europe.
Like I said, we'll hopefully
We'll
by the time we
figure
walk
that
through
out.
this, we'll understand it all. a little
Okay.
better. Okay, so verse 10. In verse 10, chapter 17, you see that 5 are fallen. And these, we saw that up here last week. We looked at that. These are the 5 that are fallen, the 5 heads, talking about 5 are fallen. And that we're here in number 6. These 5 have fallen and we're here at number 6. And when you use that imagery, connect it with Revelation 13, and Ellen White tells us that 6 begins when? When does the 6th head begin?
Do you mean 1798?
Right, the 1798, right here, the 6th head begins.
So many bells are ringing for me. I'm trying to keep it confined to this study, but it opens up other things that
It does, it does.
out.
And hopefully it eventually gets us to understand the transition from here to here. I don't know that we'll understand that today, but that's where I'm wanting to understand is this transition, because we are hard up upon that transition.
Yeah, and that reminds me of when the Greeks came to see Jesus. He knew that his time was almost over. It goes back to I don't want to mess up. I'll mess up. But it has to do with what Parminder had said too.
Okay, so we just kind of stated that we're at this place in this transition. We want to better try to understand that transition. So we see that 1798 is number 6, you're beginning in the number 6 here. And what history is this? Back in here, we're looking at what history? 1798. What is 1798? What history?
You mean the Millerite
The
history?
Millerite history, right? You got the Millerite history here at 1798. And we saw that Millerite history is one nation, and when you get to 7, what is it?
All nations.
It's all nations, right? Okay, so when you get to the 7th head, you have all nations. Or actually, we'll put, it's another way to say all nations. Anybody?
Globe,
The
globally.
world,
Worldwide. And Ellen White actually gives us that, I believe, as well, if I remember right. Yeah, she does, because I think we've read those quotes where she has not completely fulfilled. I think it was great controversy we saw that in. So it's
This
one
is
nation.
Ringing big bells.
Oh, good. Don't be afraid to speak up. So this is one nation, and by the time you get to number 7, looking at, as we approach the Sunday law, that we have to come to a worldwide or all nations. So Revelation 12, 13, and 17 switch from different symbology using beasts and heads, and that's what we've looked at. Between beasts and, we're looking at the heads and the horns and the crowns, but you can see that it switches from beasts to heads. So we have to understand why is God saying, why is the Bible written saying that the distinction or showing the difference between a beast and a head? Because at first glance, we might just think their beast is a head. So we need to understand the difference between what God is saying using the words beasts and heads. And it's he does point out in this study that it's not easy, and that we can't just proof text beasts. You can't just proof text beasts to rightly understand this. And that proof texting has to be done really carefully. So we saw that a head equals a kingdom. We also saw that it's a mountain. And I don't remember, maybe in this one I have it, but I think we went through it last week, some of the verses. It might be later that I have them, but we went through some of the verses. Jeremiah was one of them. Isaiah, I think, was one of them. Daniel 2 was one of them, to show that a head is a kingdom, and also a kingdom is a mountain. So they're all the same. So, and then a beast, that's one we want to understand. So verse 10, it says that 5 are fallen, and one is, this is here, where we have this from last time, one is, which means it's alive. The one is equals it's alive, okay? What does it mean to be fallen?
Dead.
Dead, right? So these ones are dead. Up to here. And then this one is alive. So number 6, we see, is alive. 5 are fallen, one is meaning it's alive, fallen meaning dead. So 5 are dead, one is alive. And what about number 7? What does it say about number 7? Revelation 17:8, I believe. Anybody?
I can read that verse.
Okay,
That's 8 of 17.
correct.
The beast that you saw was and is not, and will ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition.
So it's talking
And
about,
tho-
right? No,
that-
not ahead. Go ahead, sorry.
That's all right. And those who dwell on the earth will marvel, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they see the beast that was and is not and yet is.
So it's giving us the same thing twice. Do you understand what it's giving us twice, Jackie? What is it saying? You have a beast that shall ascend. And what does it say at the end of the verse?
The beast will ascend out of the bottomless pit.
Okay, so there's gonna be, let's see, thou sawest, let's see, shall ascend out of the bottomless pit. So that beast was, is not, and shall ascend. This is talking about the beast. We looked at the kings, and we're gonna look at verse 10, because verse 10 is talking about the kings. Verse 8 is talking about the beast, and we want to separate the two. So verse 8 shows that the beast that thou saw was. What does was mean? So this is verse.
It's fallen.
This is verse.
It was, but it's fallen.
So verse 8, verse 10 is they're dead. Okay, I hope I don't get this mixed up. I really have to pay attention to the two.
Oh, I
verses.
know it.
8 and 10, because 8 is addressing the beast, 10 is addressing the kings. Okay, so 8 is addressing the beast, and it says that the beast that you saw was past tense. What does that mean?
Is it dead?
Dead, right? Okay, I almost twisted it my own self here too.
Yeah.
So we want to follow it carefully because it does get really confusing. So the beast that was
And is not.
and shall ascend. Actually, I think as we get through this a little bit further, we'll see it.
There's a question by Sarah too on the
Yeah.
beast.
I got it. I know I had it in my head, but I'm being confused again. So the beast that was is the European kings. I don't think that's the resurrection. We're not looking at the resurrection yet because that beast, there's no deadly wound there yet. There's no deadly wound there yet. Okay, so number 7 hasn't been born yet. In the present time, is the head alive? So number 7 hasn't been born yet. So is the beast alive? We already saw that. One is, and it's alive. At the end of the verse, the beast that was and is not and yet is. So the beast that was, so it's dead. And is not. I'm still confused. I'm gonna make sure that we have it. Read it again. The beast that thou sawest was and is not, shall ascend out of the bottomless pit. So I think where I'm confused here, just to make sure I have my notes right, that the beast that thou sawest was, so it was alive, and that's coming up a little bit later so it was alive, and then the beast is dead, and then the beast is going to be born again. Did that make sense? I know that part is correct. I just am getting confused between the two verses, which is easy to do. So you have the beast that was, so when it was alive. Does that make sense? Okay. And the one that is not means that the beast is not alive. So 8 is making a distinction on the beast, that the beast that was, meaning it was alive, the beast that is not, the beast is dead, and the beast that is yet to come would be born again. Did everybody follow that?
Yeah, is that,
I
does it
apologize
mean
for my own, huh?
does it mean that beast resurrects then?
Yes, I
Okay,
think that's the right word to use, but the beast will be
Yeah.
alive again.
right.
Beast will be alive again. And I don't want to go there about the beast who receives the deadly wound. I think that we'd have to look at that, and we're not going to go back to the deadly wound part yet. Because we really want to separate out the distinction between the woman, the beast, the heads. Okay,
The
so
woman.
verse 10 and verse 8, by the way, we just said it. It says it 2 different ways. The beast that thou sawest was, is not, and shall ascend. So it will come back. And at the end of that verse, when they behold the beast that was, is not, and yet is. So Revelation 17:8 is taking 2 different ways, changing it up just a little bit to show that the beast was alive here. And where John is at, he's seeing that looking back, 5 are fallen, 5 are dead. but in this was period, they were alive. And this one, because you have 7 of them, 7 being talked about here, this one here was, these ones are alive, the beast is dead here, and then the beast is alive here. So you have the beast alive here, the beast dead here, and the beast alive here. Verse 10, there are 7 kings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? 7 kings, 5 are fallen. So this is just looking at it from a different perspective. 5 are fallen. And it's also looking at the kings or the heads, not the beast, okay? So the king. 8 is the beast. And the beast was alive during these 5, dead during this one, and will come. So we'll be alive here. The kings in verse 10, separate from the beast, the kings, 5 kings have fallen. So they're dead. The kings are dead. They're in the past. Babylon, Medo Persia, Greece, Rome, and the European kings, they no longer are part. And now you have number 6. 5 are fallen. 1 is. So this one is alive. These ones are dead. This one's alive. And then 7 will come. So it's not yet here yet. It'll be a short space. So do we need to walk through that again? It's okay if we do, because I know I've kind of confused it a little bit, and I want to make sure that we're okay.
Elaine, that 6 beast, is that a US or is it UN?
It's the
That is
UN, the
dead.
United States.
Oh, the last one.
Oh, sorry. Number 6 is the United States.
And Manuel pointed out there, that was a good point, that it's not dead, but it's no longer a unilateral power there. It's collective at the 6 head there.
Well, what we want to do is get to the distinction of, we're understanding that a beast is a kingdom that fights against God. But there's a period of time where that's not happening. Okay? Does everybody see that?
With
Yes,
Okay, yeah.
There's a
Yes.
period of time where the beast is not fighting against, where the kingdom, you have these kingdoms that fight against God, according to what we're reading here. These kingdoms fight against God. The beast is a kingdom that fights against God. So this kingdom is a kingdom that is not fighting against God. Go back to 1798. What do you have happening in the Millerite history?
Yeah, well, you have the United States and the Constitution. The Constitution is what
that's what
keeps
I'm saying.
is what keeps the beast dead, or the is
Church
what
and
is
state
Democracy.
exactly what keeps church and state separate. But the fact that Elaine is talking about wanting to distinct the king, the beast, it just makes it kind of hard to say. But yeah, that's what's happening.
We see it resurrecting, though.
Okay. So here you have Millerite history, or this history here. We'll do it on this line here. You have a head, and it's dead. We're looking at head, not beast, okay? A head is dead. What verse are we in when we're talking about a head or a kingdom? What verse are we in? Revelation 17, what verse?
Was it 3?
No, the 2 verses that we're looking at.
Eight.
Verse 8.
8 talks about
Yeah.
what? 8 talks about what?
It was and it's not and yet is.
No. The king or the beast? The beast. I think somebody said beast in there. I can't quite read it, but it looks like it.
It's the beast that's talking about Nate.
Yes, 8 talks about the beast. We're going to look at 10 real quick. 10 talks about the kings, which the king is a head, right? So
Right.
5 are fallen, meaning they're dead, right? So those heads are dead. Hope I do this right again. And this one, as a head, I erased a lot of that on there. Number 6, So these these heads are dead. What happens when you come into 1798? That Revelation 17 is marking. Ellen White also confirms that 1798 is when you have this rising up, right? So what is the condition of the head in this history?
Well, it's headless.
Headless. So it's a king. Is it a dead kingdom?
You're talking about in the fifth kingdom or
In
You
the
have five
sixth,
are fallen. Oh, put it
Yeah.
back. Open. You have five are fallen, right? One is.
Yeah.
until it's resurrected and crowned,
No,
it's
no, no.
headless.
It says one is yet to come.
No, we're trying to sort out the head versus the beast. And verse 10 says five are fallen, and we see that means they're dead. One is, what's the condition of this kingdom?
It's alive.
It's alive,
Live, yeah.
right? So we can put that down here, that it's alive. And what does it say about the head, verse 10 of the seventh? Five are fallen, one is, that's alive. And what is
And yet to
It's yet
ascend.
to come.
yet to come? So
A short time.
it's not born, okay? So verse 10 is telling us about the kings that and this goes back further than 538. But the five are fallen, dead. So we're looking at the fifth. The condition of the fifth here is certainly dead because it's part of that five. The fifth is dead, the sixth is alive, and the seventh is not yet born. Does everybody follow that part? That much at least.
Yes.
That's for the heads, right?
For the heads,
Now are you gonna go walk through the beast now?
we're gonna walk through the beast, but not quite yet. Let's go through a couple more things first.
So is the head specific to the mind?
No, it's a kingdom.
Okay.
We already
just-
defined that, but we can go back if
I
somebody
know,
wants.
I can't help it. I'm still.
No, that's okay. If somebody wants to look up those verses again, I might have them in this study, but I don't remember if I do. Oh yeah, I do have them in here. Revelation 21:10 will tell you that a mountain is Jerusalem. Linking a mountain to Jerusalem. Isaiah 2:3, a mountain is Zion. Jeremiah 51:25 is showing that a mountain is Babylon. And then you can go in, I believe, to Daniel 2 and see that a kingdom is a mountain. So I hope I said that right. So we've already shown that a head equals a kingdom equals a mountain. So then the mountain comes up in chapter 17, I believe. It'll tell you that the seven heads are seven kings. I don't remember which verse it is. Maybe somebody can find that one. Seven heads, or it's verse 9. The seven heads are seven mountains. So the head is a kingdom, is a mountain. The seven heads, these seven heads are seven mountains or seven kingdoms, who sits on those heads? Who sits on the beast?
The woman. Oh, yeah, the woman.
The woman. The woman sits on that beast. Okay, so that's the heads. So we have the heads in verse 10. We have five are fallen, so we know this fifth one is dead. We see the sixth one is, so these are dead. This one's alive. And the one that is not yet, or will come, will ascend, shall ascend, is the one that's not born yet. Are we all okay on the kings?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll walk through it a little bit more. Yeah, it's Daniel 2:37 and 39, where a king is a kingdom. So I can't say that I don't think it's correct to say, Susan, that it's the mind. It's just using the symbology to represent these kingdoms. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm just still struggling with knowing that they all have one mind, but that's the beast that
We're not
fights
there yet.
I know. And Mary has I'm sorry.
No, it's
Then
okay, go
I had a
ahead.
question. Is the dragon different or the same as the beast? On whose head are we I think she's saying searching out.
Whose head does that say? Whose head are we searching out? Is the dragon the same as the beast? I don't remember where the quote is, maybe somebody does remember it, but Ellen White comments on Revelation 12. Does anybody remember what she says? Let me find at least the
Yeah, like kings and rulers, something like
Correct.
that. Yeah.
the rulers.
I think they're the same, dragon and the beast. They have same characteristics, yeah.
If you think about it in terms of the great controversy, it's a fight between two kingdoms, right? Collection of all kingdoms. And I don't really call it collection of all kingdoms, but definitely the ones that fight against God. So, when you talk about the dragon, so you have you have Satan's kingdom, and then you have God's kingdom. And I think we've all had stuck in our mind old ideas, which if I follow correctly, as we progress through our learning, our old ideas are what? If we carry those old ideas, what do those old ideas represent?
Baggages.
What was that?
Is it baggages?
Baggages? I was thinking in terms of a church. Which church? has old
Laodicea.
ideas? Laodicea, right?
Laodicea.
So we have to shake that off. The Laodicean ideas that put us at assuming that the papacy is these kingdoms, if that makes sense. But hopefully as we walk through this, we'll better understand it.
No, I guess for me, when I think about the threefold union, the dragon, beast, and the false prophet, it just there is a distinction between those three. And so that's why I guess for me, but I understand the study that you're teaching now, but sometimes that when I'm thinking about the kings and the beast, the dragon and the beast, yeah, that kind of sometimes get intermixed, I guess, because you have the threefold union and they all play a part. But I kind of forgot what my thought was
Okay.
going.
But we're not going towards the threefold union.
Right.
Anyways,
Right. That's when, yeah,
maybe
that's a different
if we
thing.
could come to get this all worked out, then eventually that'll help us better with the threefold union. Because when does the threefold union take place?
At the end, right? Or
At the end, where? What's the end?
yeah.
Sunday law. Sunday law. So it'll be in the seventh head, right?
Mhm.
Okay, but before we can even go there, we have to get this worked out. If that makes sense. So I'll read a couple of things straight from the notes. Maybe that'll help us help me stay better on track. So Revelation 17:8, a head is a kingdom and a beast is a kingdom, and that was a question mark. They're both kingdoms, but there's something different about a beast. You have a beast that was, and it's the beast that, the beast that was, then it says the beast is not, and then it says the beast shall ascend, and they're all the same beast. So it's a beast, but there's something different about it. In verse 10, it says it's not born, and in this one, it says it shall ascend, or yet is. The beast is going to resurrect. That was some of Sarah's question, I think. The beast is going to resurrect in the future. So the beast and the king or head are separate. So now we'll walk through verse 8, which is going to show us, we're going to look at the beast. I think that was Gloria's question. So we're going to look at the beast here. And if somebody would read, we're going to read verse 8. Somebody want to read verse 8, the first part? We don't need the whole verse, just the first part and the last part.
Is that Revelation 17:8.
Correct.
The beast that thou sawest was
Was,
and
so what
is
does was mean?
past,
Past?
dead,
No, the 5 heads are dead, but the beast was, what was that beast in the past? Dead or alive?
Alive.
Do you see that, Phil? Because in here, you're looking back and you're seeing they're dead. But back here, they are dead now. But back here, what were they?
They were alive then.
What was the beast? They were alive then, right? Okay, go ahead with the next part. Or to finish that part right
Where,
there.
where are you standing in that, looking at the beast in 1798 or?
In the
Where are
beginning of the verse, it shows them 1798, marking 1798. So the context is this 6th head, the one that is
So that's for the head, right?
for the head. We're
So
reading the
right
6th
now,
head
as
of
you're
the beast.
describing the beast, where are you standing?
Describing the beast. Well, I think in both places you'd say the same thing with the beast or the head, because it's saying that that the beast was. What does it mean that the beast was?
They were alive.
If the beast isn't, and the beast was
so the beast was in existence,
in existence or
alive, okay.
alive.
Ah.
Okay, what does it say after that?
Then it is not,
So is what?
It's dead.
It's dead. And then what?
shall ascend,
Shall ascend. What does that mean? Sarah? Sarah's the one that's, I think, was putting that one in there.
Resurrect, but that's,
Resurrect.
yeah, that's what she said.
So it'll resurrect.
Now, can you compare with the language that you use for the head now, just to see?
That again, be more, I don't
Can,
know.
can you compare with the language that you use for the head? The was, is not, and yet is,
Okay.
right there. Yeah.
Let me go back to 1710. You said beast, but are you asking beast or heads?
I'm asking the head.
The head.
Are you going to 1710 now for that?
10 is the heads, 8 is the beast.
Okay. 1710.
1710
Okay.
is the head, not the beast. 8 is the beast.
All right.
So 10, there's 7, 5 are fallen. Fallen means dead. So if you're standing here, these 5 are past, but the language that he's giving us on the heads, fallen, means that they're dead. And 1 is, so it's not dead. And the other hasn't come yet. So it'll be resurrected. So it's not born yet and it'll come. So you have 5 that are dead. You have 1 that's alive and 1 that's not yet here.
Thank you.
Okay, Zach, everybody okay with that? Are we okay now understanding what we laid out here, the heads and the beasts? Is there anybody that doesn't see that part of it?
I think it'd be good if you could do this one more time again.
Maybe we'll do it next week. But we'll keep going through and then maybe we'll review it again next week.
Yeah, like you did with the first angel.
And maybe it helps me as well along the way.
And it sinks it in better.
So what we're understanding is that there's a difference between, are the beasts and the heads the same? They're both kingdoms, but what distinguishes between the two?
The crown.
Not the crown,
That they fight against God,
that they
Oh,
fight
it's just
against God,
right?
that they fight against God. So the crown is where we'll eventually go to because there's the one that doesn't have crowns yet. Okay, So what distinguishes between the beast and the head, you have 7 heads. These are the 7 heads. They're the kingdoms of Bible prophecy. And there are 5 that are fallen. This is what John is seeing when he's being shown 1798. 5 are in the past, they're fallen. 1 is, meaning it's alive. 5 are dead, 1 is alive, and 1's not yet here. So he's referring to this history, which is Millerite and our history. But we're looking in specific at this history here when it came to these chapters. So Millerite history beginning in 1798. And we see that there's 1 nation in the Millerite history, and then it's worldwide, going to be worldwide here in the Sunday Law history. So we saw the heads. When it comes to the heads, each of these 5 kingdoms, that 5 are fallen, meaning they're dead. 1 is, meaning it's alive. And 1 that's not yet born. That's the heads. The beast, 17:8, we walked through and saw that to say 5 was the beast that was, and I think when it says the beast that was, I don't know if this is completely accurate, because he is seen. Yeah, I think when it says the beast that was, it's specifically talking about this one.
And that's verse 11.
Yeah, and I think he's talking about just that one, and the beast which thou saw is gone, is the 8th, even of the 7th. Okay, yeah, I don't want to go there.
Okay.
But I think he's talking about this one here, but we can see that we're going to kind of see how, well, because let's put it this way, how many heads, this is a little further in the study, how many heads does the woman sit on? We're going to finish this anyways. So we will be definitely going back through it again next week because we're not even gonna finish. So how many heads does she sit on?
You mean 5 heads so far?
She
In 1790?
7. Lily said 7. The woman sits on 7 heads. We want to remember that. That the woman sits on 7 heads. Okay. So hopefully we got to the part that we see that the kingdom or the beast is a kingdom that fights against God. And we'll walk through that more because we're just about out of time.
Can you answer Mary's question? Because it's similar to what I was thinking with where the head is like a mouthpiece. So she said, so the head dies, the beast doesn't. It just hops to another head. It just couldn't control the 6,
To
but will
say that
control
the
the
head,
7.
to say that the head dies, if I follow what you're saying correctly, to say that the head dies would mean that the 1 is the United States, the 6th head is dead. Is the United States dead?
No.
No.
So if I followed what you said, and I didn't see her question.
I read it to you.
Oh, okay.
Maybe read it for yourself.
The head dies and the beast doesn't. No. The 5 are fallen. Those 5 kingdoms are dead. The 6th is alive. And the 7th head's not yet. The beast is the one that dies here. Did that make sense? Let's finish with her question. Okay, so the head dies, the beast doesn't. It just hops to another head. It just couldn't control the 6, but yes, couldn't control the 6. We'll show that probably next week, but will control the 7th head. Yes, correct, Mary. That part is definitely correct. And we're not there yet. But so we have the 5 heads are fallen. 1 that is, the 6th head, and 1 that's not yet. Of the beast were alive. The beast was alive here. The beast was alive here. And we want to understand, we will understand hopefully by next week, what makes the beast alive or dead. Mary's partway there. And then the beast is dead. The king is alive, the kingdom is alive, but the beast is dead. And then the beast will resurrect.
Elaine, in that Revelation 13:1, you put fifth head. Can you connect that to the 10 crowns there? Is that the 10 kings, the 10 kingdoms that's divided? 10 European?
What did we have here? In the fifth? The European kings, right?
10, right?
Right.
The 10 crowns is 10 kings? Is that what's referring?
13:1. You have the 7 heads, that's the 7 kingdoms of Bible prophecy. And one of those kingdoms has 10 horns. This kingdom has 10 horns. This kingdom has 10 horns and also 10 crowns. That's the.
What's a horn?
If you do go through that with the concordance, you'll see that it's a power. There's a lot of different ways to describe it, but it's a power. I don't know if there's any more, if anybody's done any more on that, but that's they were the powers of Europe.
And crown is what?
Making it
Same
same thing. I think the same thing. And there's a reason there's 2 different symbols. And I haven't, for this study, I don't have that, but there's a reason there's 2 different symbols. But
Doesn't a
and I
horn,
think we will come to that answer next week.
doesn't a horn seem like it has more violent power? I mean, if you think of like the way that animals use their horns to fight.
But I don't think that would be quite right in this, knowing where we're kind of headed. I don't think that would be quite right in his, but if you want to do a word search on horns for next week, that would be great if somebody wants to do that, to do the word search on horns. Because what you have is a distinction, and 13:1 talks about the 5th head, or the first beast of Revelation 13. And this first beast of Revelation 13 has the 10 horns with 10 crowns. In Revelation 17:3, talking about the 7th kingdom, that there's 10 horns, but there's no crowns. There's a difference, and that has to do with the beast.
has no crown because there's no one beast or head that's leading out the world. Is that what it is?
I think we're gonna have to finish that next week.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to finish that next week. So let me read a little bit of this and then we'll close and we'll go review it again next week. And between all of us, prayerfully, we all come to the same place. So a beast is a kingdom that fights against God, and it depends on the point you want to make. He shall speak words against God or against the Most High. And what else would the beast do? Going to speak words against the Most High. What else? What else does it say in Daniel?
Think to change times and laws.
Not that one. But he's going to speak words against God. Who does he
Is
wear?
it set himself above God, or is that it?
Who does he wear
Wear
out?
out the saints of the Most High.
Wears out the saints. So if he's going to wear out the saints, he's going to attack people.
Think of
Going to
backlash
attack
too,
God.
and what we were talking about, how it's wearing people down.
And he'll attack. Well, yeah, I guess if you looked at, no, I don't want to go there. We'll take us sideways. But so he's going to wear out the saints. He's attacking people, the people of God. So he's attacking who? You mean attacking God?
Yes, he's attacking God.
So Manuel's put in here, and I haven't followed everything everybody said, but the US is both the 6th and the 7th. How can we say that the US is the 6th and the 7th? If you follow this line of the kings that of Bible prophecy, they're all different kingdoms. Correct? Why would these two be the same?
Because the US changes so much by giving up the Constitution. So it becomes a different,
But if we go ahead, sorry, say that.
no, go ahead.
So if we go back to what we originally started with, Revelation 14 and Revelation 18, to show that one is Millerite history, Revelation 18 is
Is it because
our
the
history.
US starts fighting against God?
So I just want to go to that one point about how can this not be the same? How can this not all be the United States? What do we see in Millerite history?
Yeah, it's one nation, it's just the United States.
And what is
And the
it?
7th is all nations, so it's the UN. It's referring to
UN. Yeah.
Does that make sense, Manuel? So it may be part of it, yes, but it's not the US, and we'll see that hopefully as we continue to go through this. So, okay, so a beast is not just a kingdom, a beast is a kingdom with an objective, and the objective is to fight against God. Who told the kingdom to fight against God and to kill God's children? The beast is the one that's going to kill. But who told the beast to kill?
the woman.
Why?
You said why or what?
Yeah, why?
Oh,
Why? And we've kind of brought this up a few times. What does it say in Revelation 17? And this goes to the point that Christina was sharing. So the beast is the one that's going to kill, and who tells the beast to kill them? The woman. Where do we see that in Revelation 17? You have a woman, and who is a woman? What is a woman?
Are we saying that the woman is the
the woman
people
is a
now?
church.
The woman's a church, right?
Hmm.
And then you have a kingdom, which is the kingdom, mountain king. It is governments, all of its governments, but the distinction is the beast is a kingdom, but it's the kingdom that fights against God. So we have, I'll read that again. So who told the kingdom? That's, we want to look at this kingdom. Who told the kingdom to kill?
The woman did.
The woman did. So how do we know it's the woman?
I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints.
What's the woman sitting on?
That hate
Scarlet colored beast.
Scarlet colored beast. What makes her scarlet now? Why is she scarlet?
blood, the
Why is
blood.
the beast scarlet now?
The blood of the saints.
The blood of the saints. So the scarlet beast is in this history because the woman told the kings, right? Because it's the kings that kill,
Yeah, like Herod and
right? And
Herod.
we'll hopefully go there too next week. So
Right.
the main thing is, go ahead, sorry.
I was just gonna say the woman needs the army, so the woman needs a state to do it because the woman
Right?
alone. Huh?
Yeah, a host, right?
Yes, because the woman doesn't have the I guess the army to kill, to to actually do the destroying. So she's telling the beast to do it, if that makes sense. That's how I understand it.
So we'll use the analogy of a horse. How does a horse know where to go?
because the one riding it reins, uses the reins to control where the horse goes.
Exactly. So if a woman's riding a beast, then she's holding what?
The reins.
The reins. I saw a woman, verse 3, I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet colored beast. To get a beast, and the definition of a beast is someone who fights against God. Someone has to tell it to do that. Someone has to tell the beast what to do. The definition of a head is just a kingdom. It's neutral. So the kingdom is neutral. Huh? Go ahead.
Can I
Yeah.
Can I say my thought? Oh, so okay, so I get it. So the woman is telling the beast to destroy God's people. And so in that way, is that how the what do I want to say? The beast or is fighting against God? Is because she's telling the beast to fight against God's people, and God's people are a representative of God, right?
I think I followed that. I think so.
I guess I'm asking that's how I'm understanding it, but
So going back to the scarlet colored beast, when we look at here, because Revelation 17's focus is the scarlet colored beast, which is this history. And this beast is going to be, this beast is alive here, but it's going to be dead here. Because there's not going to be the fighting against God's people. And we already looked at that because you have the Constitution, which was the separation of church and state. And it's a lot more elaborate than that, but in the simple terms, it's the Constitution. So there's this period of time, and I see it in my head is you have all this history here, and especially going back to Elder Parmenter's presentation with Paul, which would have been in this history here, right? You have Paul, who is now speaking to the Gentiles. And what's Paul's message?
equality.
Equality, right?
But he knew the
Looking
falling
all this
away
Huh?
he knew the falling away hadn't happened yet, right? In Thessalonians.
Right, he knew that. So
That's why he told them they maybe to compromise so they wouldn't get wiped out completely, maybe.
I don't totally want to speculate on any of that as, you know what I mean? But so I don't want to speculate on that. Let's see. Now the punchline I got from last week's study, the counterfeit's version of equality controlling the beast, is that what you mean? Was made clear in my mind. The beast was made clear in my mind. Yeah, beast, thank you.
So Elaine, just a question. So that woman that you are asking is the papal church, right? Papacy?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And we'll go into next week because we want to understand what it means that the woman sits on all 7 heads. Because was she the papal church here?
No,
Okay.
So where does Elder Parmenter, where is the distinction between European kings and the woman that sits on the beast? We're changing our, traditional thought or thinking that we said papal church, now we're saying European kings.
Well,
what
this
are the
is
verses?
2018. This is 2018, and I'm sure he's probably done it long before 2018 when he's worked out Revelation 17. That Revelation 17, when you look at it, there's a distinction between a woman and a beast. And when you go to Revelation 13, you don't really see the woman, you just see the beast. And think about that through.
Yes, yeah.
You don't see the woman, you see the beast. The woman is not seen. Why? Because she's behind the scenes controlling, right? And she's going to do the same thing again. If that made sense.
So beginning of that 5th head there, you'll see the woman concealed, but then when does she come out? Does she ever come out?
We'll look at that next week, hopefully. We'll look at that next week. What we want to try to just summarize what we've seen, and we'll have to think about it through the week. And I would recommend going back and watching the study. Number 7, called The Shaking, July 7th, I think it was, 2018. France School of the Prophets. So we'll just summarize here what we're looking at so far. We're looking at these chapters in early writings, and we're started with looking at who the angel was in another illustration in that first paragraph. We all agreed, I believe, that it's the first angel. And then if that wasn't clear, then when you go down a couple paragraphs, you see that then another angel comes, that says Babylon has fallen, proving that, or confirming that the first paragraph is not talking about the second angel, because another one comes after that. And consecutively, that would be 1 and then 2. So 2 is in a paragraph, a couple paragraphs away, talking about Babylon has fallen. So that first angel that's talked about is not the angel of Revelation 18. It's the it's the first angel, and it's in these chapters which fall in Millerite history, where we see Millerite history is speaking of one nation. So we looked at then Revelation 18:3 to see that the distinction between 14 and 18 is that 18 is all nations or worldwide. So then we went to Revelation 17 to start trying to break down the heads and the beasts, to be able to look at the 5 that are fallen and the one that is and the one that's not yet come. So we can see from Revelation 17, we're here, which also takes us to prove us the same thing here, that it is one nation and it's all nations or worldwide here, just as we saw here, one nation and worldwide. So Revelation 17 is just giving more detail and confirming Revelation 18:3, that it's worldwide and that the Millerite history is one nation. Was that summary okay for now?
Yes, that's clear to me. I just say to me.
And then it went
Yes.
okay, and then we went from there to understand the sequence when it comes to the beasts and the kingdoms. You have the 7 kingdoms. You have 5 are fallen, dead. 1 is alive, and 1's not yet. Then we looked at the beasts, and we saw that the beast, in verse 8, the beast that was, in other words, it was alive, to the beast that is not, meaning it's dead during this period here. We saw that what makes it dead, or I don't know if that's the only thing, but the raising up of the United States was going to have the lamb, the 2 horns, like
The Constitution.
the principles and the Constitution that is restraining, and it has caused the woman who rides who is sitting on all 7 heads. All 7 heads. Keep that in mind for next week. She's sitting on all 7 heads, but she doesn't have control here. She's still there. And we'll want to look at that more with the help of all of us, because that's where I think we go to Herod, Herodias, and Salome. Did I say the names right?
Yes.
Yes.
Because oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, she can't persecute God's people because of the Constitution. Is that right? Because in that 1798, before that darkness period, you have the papacy, the persecution, right?
Back here?
Yes,
Yeah.
back there. But then when 1798, when you have
Persecution.
the United States, raising up, and they have the Constitution, then the woman has no power, to persecute, or if that's the right word to say, persecute God's people, or.
So last comment, and we'll definitely close. So the woman is the church, right? And we see that church being the papal church. We know that Revelation 17 says that there's a mother, and what? What does she have?
Daughters.
Harlots.
Yeah, and who are those harlots' daughters?
Apostates.
Yeah. So we need to think about that for next week. So Mary says, understanding, I'm sorry, I apologize for, I probably missed a lot of comments. It's hard to go back and forth and try to see the board in the chat at the same time. So understanding the beast helps clarify the 8 is of the 7, all of the 7 heads reincarnate, at least in their characteristics, nature, and together they're the beast power that wars against Christ. 6th kingdom, the period of the battle over Babylon. And what was the presentation? Oh, number 7, France School of the Prophets. And I found mine on Prophetic Herald. If you go to playlist and go back to 2018, and it's July, I think it says July to September, I don't remember, but there's 2 playlists. One has 46, and that's where this one is from, and one has 48. And those are later in September, something like that. So I don't know why they were split up in the uploading. I don't know. So
What number was it?
it's number 7 called The Shaking. July 7th.
Thank you.
Just to make sure that I have it. Yeah, July 7th. So so we'll continue on. We'll probably review it again and then try to continue on. And then I think I'm working on the one following that, because another question comes up that would seem like a contradiction that we want to look at. And I don't know if I have the answer for, but we'll look at it. So does anybody have any comments before we close?
I shouldn't say the woman persecute, because the woman is using the kingdom or the state to persecute. So I just want to make that correction, because I think I said the woman persecuting, but we know that a kingdom on its own. I mean, well, we just went through your whole study, and so we know that it's not the woman doing it, but the woman telling. So just want to.
And I see Christina's not here, so Christina's not here anymore, right? I was hoping some of this would help her with what she was saying as well, but I don't know when she left. Anyways, what we do want to, we have to get rid of the old thoughts that we have in our head. Old thoughts are Laodicean thinking, Adventist thinking, Laodicean thinking, and we want to be able to see this correctly. Because when we see it correctly, and this is what I said, I think it was on Wednesday, that going back through these old studies, if we're to wear prophetic glasses to help us to see these old studies, to me, I see helping remove some of the fog off of those glasses, so that we can, because fog is gonna make you unable to properly distinguish what you're looking at. So we want to clear the fog, and these old studies that many of us maybe never even watched, let alone maybe go back to. So the old studies have a lot of valuable information, because this was 2018, and I'm sure it was long before that Elder Parmenter had already taught Revelation 17 and proved that that 5th head is the kingdoms of Europe. And yet we've gone through all our Adventist thinking, all our Adventist history, that 5th head is what? What did we always believe? What has everybody been talking about here today? What did we always believe that 5th head was?
The papal power.
The papal power. And so if we don't have that correct, then we're going to have all of this out of alignment. We're going to have the beast out of, not understand the beast correctly, not understand the heads correctly. And if we can't understand the beast and the heads correctly, then we can't understand the period of time we're in and what transpires in that transition from 6 to 7. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
So I do recommend, and I see Christine put it back in the chat again as well, to go back and review that presentation, and then next week we'll go through it again and try to complete it and try to continue on through the process. But if you're able to watch it, that would probably be even better as we go through it next week. It'll help us all that much more. The Sea of, oh yes, Cilicia and Philadelphia, you might have to bring some of that to us. Lily at one point, or just share some notes on it to remind us of it. And the Babylonian War, yes, between Seleucus, papacy, and Antigonus, yes, and that's part of that transition. And that's what we're living in right now, is that battle for the King of the North. And I think it's important to, I think anyways, that it's important to understand that there's a distinction, because every bit of this is a layer that needs to be layered over on top. So what Lily just put in there is another layer. And going back to eventually when we try to get back to Herod and seeing how it was, we want to look at that story a little more closely later, that it was the deception, but it was the woman, right? The woman that wanted the head of John the Baptist. Maybe somebody can correct me if I say that right, but it was through deception, because Herod did not want to kill John the Baptist.
Right, that's true. And so Salome used her daughter, Herodias used her daughter to trick or manipulate and get Herod to make a promise that was to kill John the Baptist, or to, kill John the Baptist.
So
behead him.
Herod's deceived and by the daughter, and then you have the mother, who is then going to control the beast. Once you get Herod out of the way. Hope I said that right. I might be thinking ahead. But let's go ahead and Victoria, would you like to close in prayer?
Sure. Dear God, thank you so much for this opportunity to come together, and the blessing we received through this study. We just pray that you will continue to be with us as we depart, and continue to keep the Sabbath. And I just thank you for all the blessings in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. So happy Sabbath, everybody.
Yeah, happy Sabbath. Thank you, Elaine.
Yes, thank you, Elaine.
And we'll see those of us that are here together on Wednesday. We'll see you Wednesday.
Yeah, see you all Wednesday. Have
God
a good
bless.
day.
Happy Sabbath. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful week.